People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the wide world of Weingarten.
Wide World of Weingarten, episode 14. It's October 27th, 12:45 in Los Angeles. Game 2 of the World Series is tonight. Jose Urquidy for the Astros takes on Max Fried for the Braves. It's also opening night in the Dominican Winter League, which I know everybody is excited about, as I am. And news came out this morning that every regular season game and playoff game will be available streaming on MLB TV. So that's kind of cool. I'll finally get a chance to watch some of these games I've been betting on the last couple of years. And like I said, it's opening day. I was actually a little surprised. I looked at Bookmaker about an hour ago, and they have $250 limits on sides, down from about $3,000 the last couple seasons. Not only were the limits down, but usually they would offer first 5 inning markets, first inning, yes, no score, and team totals. All of those are gone. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's just a opening day sort of thing, or they don't care. But that was a little disappointing, knowing that if they're not going to take larger limits on it, then nobody else will, most likely. So that'll curtail some of my time handicapping those. But so yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit about Winter League baseball today until that all derailed it. So I don't have any plays. But what I really did, I just wanted to talk about Winter League baseball real quick, because it's something we'll be talking about a decent amount during the off season. But I used to bet a lot of Winter League baseball. I don't bet it as much anymore, and the reason that I used to bet Winter League baseball is the same reason that most foreign players play in winter leagues or go to Mexico or go to the Dominican. Is you're working on new things, you're coming back from an injury, or you need the money. I used to bet Winter League baseball because I needed the extra money, and it was good money in the off season when there's no other baseball going around or going on, to be able to bet $500 or $1,000 a game on what's going on in Mexico or going on in the Dominican, and finding the starting pitchers, and everything was real easy. But the other reason I follow it still, I don't bet it as much, but the reason I follow it is that there is no shortage of people in baseball who can give you quality analysis on what's going on at the minor league level, or the draft, the first round of the major league draft. Everyone knows who the best prospects are. The baseball card market has it more or less figured out. If you look at the prices, they're 2-3 years ahead on who's the next big thing. They had Wander Franco, Jason Dominguez, the outfielder on the Yankees, 19 years old, probably 2-3 years away from the majors. He has $20,000 baseball cards already. There's no shortage of people who could tell you all about the top tier prospects in baseball and why they're the top tier prospects. Baseball America, they do great stuff. I know a bunch of people that work there. I can't compete with them, and I'm not even trying. But I do scout the winter leagues, because in the last 4 or 5 years, you find a Framber Valdez or a Jose Urquidy, two guys who are starting in the Astros rotation in the World Series, and occasionally you find Randy Arozarena. And it's few and far between. It's more likely you're going to find a Cesar Valdez or a Ramon Urias, but you do find guys, and I do enjoy tracking some of these careers of fringe major leaguers, and you never know when someone that's considered a fringe major leaguer turns out to be an Adolis Garcia or a Randy Arozarena. Just a couple examples of guys whose careers I scouted before they made it to the majors the last couple of years. But I leave the first round draft picks and all the next big things, the Spencer Torkelsons, the Wander Francos, to the big boys, the Fangraphs, the Baseball Prospectus. I like Keith Law. They know more about all that stuff than I do. I'm not trying to outthink them or bring new angles to stuff. I'm looking for the guys on the fringes that could develop into championship players. So I've had some experience with that, and some good results. I keep doing it. The betting also is fun. Don't get me wrong. I do like I do like making money, so we'll be talking about the Charos de Jalisco and the Tigres de Licey, and probably some Venezuelan baseball too. They have live betting in Venezuela. It's good stuff. So we'll have a lot of that to talk about coming up. But back to the World Series tonight. I know that's what most people are actually interested in. That's the only sporting event for me tonight. I didn't bet any basketball or hockey or any of that stuff tonight. Braves plus 103 on the money line is my bet. I see some various prices around the market. I see 105 at DraftKings, minus 105 at Circa, plus 107 at Bookmaker. So, always shop around. You could see what different books have different opinions on the total, on the money line, everything. Besides the money line, I bet the first inning again. I bet first inning yes, minus 110. That was a big winner last night. Couldn't really ask for more than Jorge Soler hitting a home run on the third pitch of the game. So won the first inning, won the home run prop, and made some equity or whatever on the MVP. So he's down from 40 to 1 to, I see 13 to 1 at DraftKings. I saw some 9 to 1 offshore. I think 9 to 1 is probably a real bad number. Fortunately, he's still behind like 4 or 5 of his teammates, but at least getting that big drop early is good, and we still have a chance to reassess the MVP price after game 2. But yeah, I bet the first inning minus 110. I think it'll go lower. Probably get even money before the game starts. If it does get to even money, I'll bet it again. If you shopped around yesterday, I saw as high as plus 109, plus 116 pop up right before first pitch yesterday. And I saw on Twitter that South Point went to plus 115, which is a great price for a major sports book to be offering right before first pitch. I hope someone was able to take advantage of that. I was not able to bet at South Point. I was not in Nevada yesterday. I would have if I could have. But I think we see similar today, where we see even money, possibly even slightly plus money prices pop up closer to game time. It's currently minus 115 at Circa and DraftKings. I don't know the South Point price. I can't see it from here, but I do expect it to go lower before the game starts. And if somebody does pop a plus money price, I would definitely take it, even though I already bet it. And I also bet the hit run error line, HRE, how I refer to it, HRE line over 25.5 minus 115. That was one of my other bets. And as far as home run props go tonight, the unfortunate thing about home run props is when they win, they dejuice the guys who hit home runs the next day. So Soler hits a home run. He was 4 to 1 yesterday. Now he's 3 to 1. I mentioned on Gil's show, you can't bet 3 to 1 home run props. There's just no value there. If anything, I would lay minus 450 on the no on Soler today. And I'd hope, I want him to win MVP, but at least minus 450, I'd get some sort of hedge on my my MVP ticket if he didn't hit a home run. I'm not dying to lay minus 450, so I haven't done it yet. But like I said, he's down to 13 to 1 for MVP. He's trailing Eddie Rosario, Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley's, Adam Duvall, all mainstays in the Braves lineup. But if you were awarding the MVP on a game-by-game basis, I think his game 1 performance, the home run in the first inning, being the first player to hit a pitch and hit a home run on the first at bat of a major league game 1 of a World Series, I think that would probably win him MVP over whatever the other guys did yesterday. I mean, you probably make a case that Charlie Morton pitching through a broken leg for almost a full inning deserves some consideration, but unfortunately that would be something that would get him considered in game 7, not in game 1. I think you could probably write Charlie Morton off as MVP. So I think Soler is in a good spot. Hopefully he does something tonight. If I did want to hedge, maybe I'd look at taking like a total bases prop on him, an under 1.5. I did that a lot during the season down the stretch with Wander Franco when I was trying to hedge his rookie of the year, which I'm slowly starting to realize he's gonna probably come up short, unfortunately. We'll talk more about that when the off season starts, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Get a nice bet at 100-1 and they finish second. But as far as MVP goes for tonight for the World Series, still like Soler. If you grabbed him, I wouldn't go out and grab him at a worse price now or anything. Just hold it for now. I think Luis Garcia is still 35-1 for MVP. Lining up to pitch Game 3 is a good deal, especially they're down 0. If they go down 2-0 to the Braves, you get Luis Garcia come back in Game 3. He wins, would potentially set up to pitch again in Game 6 or 7. He's looked good to me all season. He's looked good to me all playoffs, and I'm thinking that's a decent price for a guy who's going to have 2 starts potentially in the World Series. Other than that, something to talk about in the NFL today. The big thing that I think I really want to go over in the value is Coach of the Year. Every year the markets vary in different player futures in both MLB and NFL as to where the value is. Sometimes there is no value. Sometimes there's value in multiple categories. But last year I found there was a ton of value in the Coach of the Year numbers, specifically with Circa pricing it versus the rest of the market, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM all offering it, but having the ability to check the prices between 4 books like that and having 4 different sets of odds makers making the lines. Sometimes there's disagreements, and you could tell by the smarter ones, Circa, what the true market price is versus the people who are kind of not as good as making the numbers, which would be basically everybody else offering this. So this week, the big discrepancy is the same discrepancy as last week. There's actually 2 of them, but the main one, I mentioned this already a couple times, is Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, was 35-1 last week at DraftKings, and he was 10-1 at Circa. This week, after they blew out the Ravens and beat them for the first time in Lamar Jackson's career, I think it was 41-17. After the 41-17 blowout of the Ravens, Circa reopened Zach Taylor 2.5-1, co-favorite with Cliff Kingsbury, which is an incredibly low price. Again, they cut him from 10-1, 2.5-1, 8-1 to 2.5-1. Meanwhile, DraftKings cuts him from 35-1 to 10-1. So even now, after last week, DraftKings and BetMGM, who uses pretty much the same numbers for these markets, they're still offering you 10-1 on Zach Taylor when Circa's saying, hey, he's a 250 co-favorite with Cliff Kingsbury, which isn't even to mention that Cliff Kingsbury is 7.5-1 at DraftKings right now. So I already mentioned I have my main position on Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, and I'm not getting off that position, but I had to take some Zach Taylor. I have to take some more this week at 10-1. When you have a 10-1 at a major bookmaker that Circa thinks is 2.5-1, just take it. You don't have to think very much harder than that. Circa thinks the price should be 75% lower. That's really all there is to it there. Cliff Kingsbury, he's a very live Coach of the Year candidate, and I understand how Circa thinks about their numbers. And I could kind of tell from doing this the last couple of years, they really value the undefeated record as the favorite. They did the same thing with Mike Tomlin last year, where Tomlin was near the top with a real short number just by virtue of continuously being undefeated. And I didn't necessarily agree with that. I kept saying every week, this number will drop as soon as they lose. Hypothetically, if the Packers were to somehow beat the Cardinals on Thursday night, we could see this number, be 10-1 next week. I do think being able to take Kingsbury at 7.5-1 at DraftKings is compelling if you're adding it to a portfolio, just when you know that Circa thinks it's much lower. But I am not super compelled to bet it here. I'd rather put my money on Zach Taylor, and Staley. I just think, like I mentioned a couple times, the Bengals blew out the Ravens this week. They're 5-2, and they would be the number 1 seed in the AFC if the playoffs started today. Obviously, there's more than half the season left, but just everything that they've done this season, by virtue of the fact that I'm talking about the Bengals as a potential number 1 seed in the AFC 7 weeks into the season, is why Zach Taylor deserves consideration for Coach of the Year. That's really, it's doesn't need to be much deeper than that. The Bengals are a perennial laughing stock, and he's turned them into a legitimate contender. Obviously, it's been a long-term rebuild and a plan to get Joe Burrow and get him healthy after blowing out his knee, and giving him a wide receiver that he played with in college, a great one at that. Which again, I was totally wrong on, and saying that he probably won't win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now I'm very convinced he probably will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jamar Chase, I'm talking about. But yeah, you really just have to think that 10-1 on the Bengals is getting like 10-1 on the Bengals winning the AFC North and making the playoffs, being a division champion. Their odds are much shorter than that for the division. I think it's closer to 2-1 for the division now. So I think 10-1 on Zach Taylor is still a great price. It's probably some sort of just oversight on how a lot of these books are booking these, that they keep offering these large numbers, and it's probably something I shouldn't talk about as much or talk about as vocally, because the louder I say these things, the more people bet it, the more likely the books are going to realize their numbers are wrong, and that's how value gets sucked out of these markets over time. When you win at these things, you kind of don't get a second shot the next year. They just come back and dejuice all the numbers. So in a situation like this, it's just best to take advantage of it when you can, because I do anticipate a future where futures betting at sportsbooks is very less lucrative. But hopefully we're still several years off from that, especially with all the new states that are coming online. So hopefully there's still plenty of time to take advantage of mispricings like this. Zach Taylor 10-1 would be what I'm talking about. It's, if I had some sort of best bet of the week, or some bets that I liked more than most of the other stuff I talk about, this would probably be it for the week. This is where you should put your money on if you have access to it. But yeah, that's sort of my take on the Circa versus DraftKings / market numbers this week. Always check Circa or Bookmaker or whatever books you have that you think are your sharpest. I have a couple others. I don't really particularly want to mention which ones I think are the sharpest, but those are the most well-known ones I think that people use. So that's mostly my NFL update for today. The other thing, I think the Cowboys are playing the Vikings this weekend, so Trevon Diggs is going to get a marquee matchup versus Justin Jefferson, an elite all-pro level wide receiver. So we'll get a good test this weekend for those Diggs Defensive Player of the Year futures. Potentially get a lot of targets his way. Another interception potentially would really cut that number down. But that'll be one of the more interesting things this week. And then also, I mentioned yesterday the Packers. One of the harder things about doing a podcast, other than not having any experience, particularly doing this on a one-person show, but one of the other hard things is that I will record this, and then immediately after, before even the editing's done, some news will break that'll make me look stupid for saying something, barely an hour ago. For example, yesterday I said that the Packers were +6, +6.5, and I didn't understand why there was a 2-point move on just Devontae Adams. No wide receiver in the NFL is worth 2 whole points. And I said, obviously, there was likely some other, injury or COVID related stuff, other players out that we weren't aware yet. And as soon as I got done recording this, they said Alan Lazard's going to be out too. And again, Alan Lazard is not worth anything, give or take, to the spread, but it's more just the compounding of the Packers receivers being out and injured. I had to look at the depth chart to kind of get an idea of who's going to be on the field. They had 3 active receivers, and then I think Malik Taylor was activated, and it's like, okay, big deal. I don't care about Malik Taylor making a difference. But yeah, it's one of the challenging things is you say something and then news breaks that either reinforces or blows up whatever you were saying. And so like yesterday, uh, obviously that was some, partly the reason why the line moved 2 whole points. I'm still waiting to take the Packers. If I bet them, I'll probably bet them right before the game on Thursday night. We'll talk about more about that game tomorrow when we have final injury reports and see what's going on. I think it could actually be a pretty good situation for the Packers, a good spot for them. I think the Cardinals are good. I don't think they're the best team in the NFL. There's 2 MVP quarterbacks in this game. It's not just Kyler Murray. So we'll see if the Packers defense is up to stop a dual threat quarterback, something they haven't been able to do in quite some time. So we'll talk more about the NFL tomorrow. And then golf tees off from Bermuda at 3 a.m. Pacific, which is great. Hopefully tomorrow I'll wake up around 6 or 6:30 and I'll already see guys finishing their rounds. It's much more fun to watch golf when you wake up and it's halfway through as opposed to when they're doing stuff on the West Coast or in Hawaii. And I have, I wake up and they still have 2 p.m. tee times and it goes all day. I like to get golf done with early. I mentioned I bet Sig 100-1, John Pack 225-1, currently 82-1 and 130-1 at Circa. So got a little bit of closing line value there. I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I'm not expecting either guy to win, but 100-1, 225-1, always nice to have some big tickets like that. So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll go over baseball, see where we're at after 2 games of the World Series, more football stuff. Hopefully we'll have some Winter League bets finally, and more news. We'll go over everything as always. Thanks for listening.